Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the win totals for Nebraska next season. You guys know the deal. I'm breaking down every single team in the Power 4, going alphabetical by conference. We're currently in the Big Ten. If you want to see all the videos, click on the playlist or the collections list on Patreon or YouTube and find all the videos, right? 2024 Futures Bets is what it's called, and you can find these videos. But here we are on Nebraska. Going to break them down for the 2024 season. In regular season, they have the over-under at 7.5 wins. Now, last year, they managed to win 5 games. Okay, 5 games, didn't go to a bowl game, and you see it here. They lost to Minnesota in the opening weekend, 13-10, a very defensive game. Couldn't get the offense rolling. And shout out to Jeff Sims, their starting quarterback last year. He's no longer on the team. We'll get into that. But he was a turnover machine. He had, I think, 5 turnovers in this game against Colorado. They lose, and they're 0-2 to start the season. They bounce back, beat Northern Illinois, then beat La Tech. Not impressive wins by any means, especially the fact that they couldn't really get the offense rolling. Defense was always stout. Defense was always good. They matched up well, and we'll talk about why. And then against Michigan, could not do anything. Who could, right? They lose 45-7. Beat Illinois 20-7. Once again, defense showing up, offense looking anemic. Have a bye week to prepare, and in 2 weeks of preparation, they go out and beat Northwestern. In my assessment, this was the most impressive win of the season because Northwestern was actually a really good team. Okay, a bowl team who beat Utah. So then they go out and they beat Purdue the following week, and that was the pinnacle of their season. At this point, they were, 5-3? 5-3, and then the wheels fell off. Quarterback injuries, having to start other quarterbacks. Chubba Purdy comes in. Some guy named Heinrich comes in. Bro, I can't have a guy named Heinrich at quarterback, okay? But nonetheless, you lose to Michigan State, which is terrible. They didn't even have a head coach. You lose to Maryland 13-10. My goodness, right? And then you go lose to Wisconsin or at Wisconsin in overtime and finish the season with a 13-10 loss to Iowa, which was actually pretty impressive, right? Nobody can score on Iowa. You got a touchdown. Congratulations. But let's talk about why they were so bad and some of the things that is going to be returning and what's departing and all this stuff. Like I said, their leading quarterback by the end of the year was Heinrich here. But look, no quarterback had over 1,000 yards passing. This offense was terrible. Terrible. And there's really, I don't know if it's a lack of creativity. They have a new quarterbacks coach in Glenn Thomas now. It's his first year as the quarterbacks coach in Nebraska. I don't know how much better you're going to get because Chubba Purdy left. He went to Nevada. Jeff Sims left. He's still in the transfer portal. And you bring in a true freshman quarterback. And while everybody praises a 5-star quarterback, remind me the last 5-star quarterback to start as a true freshman and be successful. Just remind me. I'll tell you, the list is very short, and it's not as frequent as you think. 5-star quarterbacks typically redshirt behind an NFL quarterback. Okay, redshirt behind an NFL quarterback. Every now and then you might get one who wins the starting job later in the year, but it's not the case. Most of the times 5-stars are going to blue blood programs anyways, and there's other 5-star quarterbacks on the roster. That's not the case for Nebraska. Nebraska has no one, and they still have 2 freshmen trying to compete with a dude named Heinrich, who, by the way, as bad as Heinrich played, was also the team's leading rusher. What? This is how terrible they were. Heinrich doesn't even play the whole season. He didn't start every game. Leading rusher. Anthony Grant will never play for Nebraska. Don't ever count that. He's gone. Anthony Grant was a problem. Academic, a JUCO kid, military college kid, New Mexico Military Institute, out of Buford. Shout out to him. Oh, by the way, out of Buford, so was Gabe Irving. Gabe Irving split time at Buford as a running back. If you're in a running back by committee in high school, I don't necessarily know if I want you. Now, I know Nate Frazier split time at Modern Day, but if you're not a bell cow back, what are we doing? Go find somebody who's worth 30 carries a game. I'm just find me the guy. They're all over the country. Find me a 2,000-yard rusher at the prep level. Let's make it work. But nonetheless, no hate on Gabe Irving. I actually liked him when he played in high school. Guys, a lot of these players have Georgia roots. Shout out to Nebraska having a Georgia pipeline for whatever reason. But you see the running here. Emmett Johnson showed up to run a little bit. Jeff Sims was running. Purdy. Joshua Fleeks showed up out of shape, and then he started running. That's a Baylor transfer, former running back, then turned wide receiver, a bunch of stuff. Ramir Johnson went down with an injury, but he did get some play at the end and 5 yards of carry. Went down with an injury. He's actually recovering this spring. So is Gabe Irving. Gabe Irving went down with a season-ending injury really early on in the season. He only played in 3 games. So they tell me Gabe Irving's going to be the starter. Cool. They also have a transfer I'll talk about on the next list, on the next screen somewhere, and we'll talk about Dante Dowdle coming over from Oregon. A lot of people think it's great. I looked at the tape and I just go, oh, okay. Looks like a big kid and a recruiting miss, if you ask me in my assessment. And I assess players every day. I watch film every day. It's just my assessment, bro. Don't take it personal. Not everybody can be great. Trust. Billy Kemp, the fourth, transfer from Virginia. Didn't move me. Team's leading receiver, gone. You see that? 8 yards a catch. What offensive scheme do you have? What are you doing? I don't know. I love the Nebraska coaching staff. I do. I like them for a number of reasons, and I've talked about this in the past. Why did Scott Frost fail at Nebraska was because he tried to use a pipeline that he created while at UCF. So while at UCF, he got every good kid to show up to UCF from Orlando, from Miami, from, I don't know, Cocoa Beach. You name the place, he got them. Jacksonville, wherever. And they're all going to UCF, and they go undefeated. And then when he goes to Nebraska, he tries to use that same pipeline to get kids to go from Florida all the way to Nebraska, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work because you're not going to get the kids to go through and pass over all those SEC schools, pass through the whole Sun Belt to get to Nebraska. Lincoln, Nebraska ain't it. So what you have to do is change your pipelines. Now, they had a trick. They had Mickey Joseph getting wide receivers out of LSU, out of Louisiana. Shout out to Dakotas Crawford and Trey Palmer and these boys. So you had speed demons at wide receiver, Trey Palmer, obviously. But once you lose Mickey Joseph in that pipeline, now what do you got? Well, now you have to go out and get Texas coaches and do the right thing and start recruiting Texas. It's much closer, less competition, instead of trying to get kids all the way from Florida. And they're redoing that structure, but it takes time. It takes time. So you need a win in the transfer portal. You need a win in recruiting. And they're still keeping their pipeline to Georgia, which is fine. But just like Arkansas having pipelines to Georgia recruits, you're getting the leftover FBS recruits. You're getting some kids that'll come all the way to Arkansas, but by the time they get there, they're not who you thought they were. You're not getting the cream of the crop. Maybe you have a better chance to be at the higher upper echelon if you hit up Texas. By the way, there's a plethora of players coming out of Texas. There's a lot to choose from. There's a whole lot of talent people are missing on in the state of Texas. They do produce the most NFL football players. They do produce the most draft picks. They do produce the most talent. It's Texas, California, Florida, and then North Carolina. Don't Google it because Google will give you the wrong answer. Yep, I promise. Make sure you check the dates. Google always releases a 2019 report instead of the 2023 report, just so we're clear. Nonetheless, wide receivers, what I will say is this. You see this Jalen Lloyd here? He's a sophomore. Alex Bullock. Well, let me be clear. Jalen Lloyd, only 6 receptions, but extremely explosive. Jalen Lloyd and Malachi Coleman, the Ferrari, Malachi Coleman. It's a local kid. Complete studs. Stud wide receivers. But they're so young, and there's no quarterback to get them the ball. And if you think Dylan Raiola is going to show up to the FBS and start doing his damn thing and get the ball to these guys, I got news for you, man. It doesn't go down like that. True freshmen don't look like that. They can't process it, and their offensive line is not the strength of this team. The offensive line is not the strength of this team. We'll address it when I go over the depth chart. But when I look at the wide receivers, Alex Bullock played the most of any wide receiver last year. He had the most plays. It's anemic numbers everywhere. Okay? Yes, Fidone's coming back, I believe. Yeah, he's coming back. He's the receiving tight end. Here's your blocking tight end, Nate. Both coming back. Very underwhelmed by the wide receivers. Here's a wide receiver nobody talks about. Jaden Doss. Stud, bro. Stud and Jaden Doss. I like him. He's a slot receiver, okay? This guy down here, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, he is a JUCO kid. Went to New Mexico State, then went to a JUCO transfer, tore his ACL last August. I don't know. He's still recovering. He's not played this spring. I went and watched spring tape. When I watched spring film on these guys, I want to say his name is Demetrius Bell. He's not even on here. And he's not on the depth chart for our lads. It's a guy named, I think it's Demetrius Bell. I hope I'm not getting his name wrong. But Demetrius Bell and Jaden Doss. These two stick out to me as young, talented players that could potentially be on the field at some point. And they got 2 really good wide receivers in the transfer portal. They got Nair coming over, former Wyoming wide receiver. He got injured at Texas, but Isaiah Nair was a stud for years. He parlayed his performance at Wyoming into a Texas offer. He's really good. And he got injured, but Isaiah Nair's good, and now he's going to Nebraska. But I don't care how good your receivers are. The quarterback play is suspect. The offensive line play concerns me. Okay? But there you go. Kicker. Tristan Alvano is the kicker, and there's no competition to get him out of his kicking job, which is crazy. He makes every extra point. He kicks it in the end zone. But my God, does he suck at 40-yard field goals. He went 2 for 7 last year in field goals. 2 for 7 in field goals over 40 yards. He did make a 50-yarder. He's got a big leg. 2 for 7? We might as well go for it on 4th down. That's crazy. You know how many times you're coming empty-handed? 2 for 7? Did I say coming empty-handed? No, did he? Okay. Now, defensively, I think is Gifford back? I think Gifford is back. Team's leading tackler. Yeah, Isaac Gifford's coming back. Some of this stuff is misleading. I'll explain. Javen Wright coming back. I think Omar Brown. Bullock's coming back. Luke Reamer and Heinrich, both linebackers, gone. They're multi-year starters, so it'll be a little different. They're the middle linebackers. Gone. Hartzog. Love Hartzog. He got all these passes deflected here. Remember, double-digit passes deflected is what you want. But he had 6. And here's the thing about Malcolm Hartzog. They don't want Malcolm Hartzog to start because he's little, dude. He's 5'9" as a corner, and they don't want him to start. Remember, last year, the whole thing that made this defense go is Quentin Newsome. Quentin Newsome is an NFL corner. Quentin Newsome, I got to redo my NFL rankings. I'm not sure if he's on there. I got to redo I got to double check my DB rankings. I might have forgot because I don't give a shit what mock drafts say. You guys know me. Quentin Newsome is a stud. Shut down half the field. 2 years ago, he had a lot of passes deflected. He doesn't really get a lot of interceptions, but he's a shutdown corner. And he's going to go pick your number 1 receiver and shut him down. So when you look at Nebraska on tape defensively, teams don't attack Newsome at all. They throw to the other corner side. And the other corner was Tommy Hill. And Tommy Hill had 9 deflections and 4 interceptions. Tommy Hill showed up. He rose to the occasion. But he's not the best corner on this team. He's not. His stats look the best. But the best talented guy is Quentin Newsome. So now you're going to lose Quentin Newsome to graduation in the NFL. And now you're like, well, we got to start Malcolm Hartzog. Well, that's scary because he's 5'8", 5'9" on a good day. And he's not a shutdown corner. He doesn't shut down half the field. Teams aren't going to attack Tommy Hill anymore. They're going to go the other way. So they went and they addressed this in the transfer portal. We'll talk about it. But there's something to talk about there, okay? They do have really good edge rushers, and they do have a really good defensive line. I like their pass rush. It's good. And it's deep. And it's impressive when guys like MJ Sherman transfer in from Georgia and he can't start. Or Chief Borders transfers in from Florida and he can't start. But it means one of two things. You're either really deep at that position or those are recruiting misses. Those are recruiting misses. I don't care if your dad's a physical trainer and you've been a 4-star your whole life and all this shit. No, those are recruiting misses. Corey Collier transferred in from Florida, couldn't start. These are departures from other Power 5 programs, Power 4 programs that couldn't start. They're saying, hey, we don't got this. And you got to make do with what you got. You offered these kids. You gave them offers. And they're not as good as you think they are. One thing that's not in the stat sheet here, they don't show it anywhere when you pull up ESPN stats. You know, they show you quarterbacks, rushing, passing, receiving, tackling, kicking. They don't show you kickoff returns and punt returns. So you have to watch the tape to know this. But I'm going to tell you, Nebraska's special teams is some of the worst I've ever seen. And their punt returners are atrocious. And I love Ethan Nation. I'm going to tell you guys about this kid right here. Ethan Nation, coming out of high school, played at Roswell here in Georgia. I watched him. And I go, yo, that kid is real. I like that kid. That kid's good. He gets to Nebraska, and they immediately let this freshman, this 5'10", 160-pound freshman, return punts. And you see it there. He had 7 punt returns. One of the team's leading punt returns. Because 7 punt returns. 23 yards. Guys, that is 3.3 yards a return. 3.3 yards a return. The long is 6 yards. The longest he returned a punt was 6 yards. Bro, just get away from it. You're tripping, bro. 6 yards? They got to find somebody else to return punts. They have to. And I like Eat the Nation. They have no punt return. They have no kicker. They have no quarterback. Offensive line has holes. What are we doing? No established running back. What are we doing? 7 wins? Let's go look at this depth chart. So Jamal Banks coming in, all right, as a Wake Forest wide receiver. Pretty good. Probably has over 100 receptions in his career. I hope he's as good as they need him to be. But like I told you, the talent in the wide receiver room isn't that bad. They just don't have anybody that can get them the ball. Period. I played wide receiver in high school. I would run routes, and they couldn't throw me the ball. I don't want to play receiver anymore. The guy's not throwing me the ball. Hey, coach, I'm moving to free safety. I'm moving to DB. Oh, Rico, we need you. Nah, man, I'm just gonna play D, man. I don't want to do this no more. True story. Not a team player. Tired of running routes. Tired of being open. Put my hand up. Dude couldn't throw. Inaccurate as my. And he's 3-star. 3-star. Went to San Diego State. I don't care. I'm calling it like I see it. I'm letting you know. Shout out to busted ass Danny Armstrong. Now, let me be clear. You look at the rest of the depth chart. Alex Bullock played the most snaps last year. Malachi Coleman is the Ferrari. He's fast. He's great. Jalen Lloyd, great. I named 2 other wide receivers that I thought were pop on tape when I watched practice. They got wide receivers, bro. I don't understand why our lads thinks Castaneda's starting. Garcia Castaneda is not the starting slot receiver. That's weird. I wouldn't go there. I don't know what that is. But shout out to them. They did get Isaiah Nair. They got their guys. Now, offensive line, I think Cochran's got surgery this offseason. He is a bona fide starter. Ben Scott. Isn't Ben Scott from Arizona State? Let me double check that. Ben Scott transferred from Arizona State. Yeah, dude, I'm Rico. I'm Rico, bro. I'll be here all day. I'm just letting you know. So, Micah Mazkua, let's talk about it. Micah Mazkua transfer. He's transferring in from Florida, but he's really a transfer. 2 years ago, he played at Baylor, and he was good at Baylor. Then he transferred to Florida, didn't get his way with Sunbelt Billy and them, and he immediately transferred there. Then he wanted to jump back in the portal. He sent him out of here. He wrote some tweet. I think he's just a prima donna. I think he's cancerous. I don't understand why people recruit this kid or want this kid. Obviously, he's 6'5", 340 pounds, something huge. NFL talent, but he's a head case. I hope they're doing the best with what they can. I'll tell you, Raquan Buckley here, number 88, he used to play defensive line, moved over to the offensive line. That's how bad it is. They're moving kids over from the D-line. They're just not very good. They don't have a lot of depth. Doesn't look good. Not the offensive line. They got 2 starters returning, though. Both tight ends coming back from last year. That's pretty good. Dylan Raiola, you're going to start a true freshman at quarterback. Good. Congratulations. Hopefully he becomes great someday. Gabe Irving, they haven't penciled in as the starter, but like I said, not playing this spring, still recovering from surgery he had back in September. Hope he recovers, and he is the starter. Ramir Johnson got some play late in the season, also injured, and that leaves the door open for somebody like Dante Dowdle. This is a young man, huge back, big back, coming over from Oregon. Congratulations. I haven't seen much on film that makes me think that's an FBS caliber starting running back. People are excited. Oh, my God, we got an Oregon transfer. He's former 4-star, all this shit. And I'm just like, guys, go turn on the tape. Stop trusting these recruiting websites who don't know a damn thing. Go turn on the tape. He looks fine. I don't know if he's a game changer of any to any standard. And shout out to them. They got 2 fullbacks on the depth chart. They got 2 fullbacks on the depth chart. Now, defensive line, studs. Good studs. 5 sacks, 4 sacks. They're on point. I like them. Like I told you, I like Chief Borders. Hey, and I like Prince Will Umanlian. That's Princely's little brother. At least he tries. I'm cool with it. Not bad. Sherman here. Stephon Thompson coming in through the transfer portal. Congratulations. They think he's the starter. Okay. He's from Syracuse. Cool. Javen Wright, the team's leading tackler, probably will start again, obviously. Bullock's probably going to start. And then they got studs in the secondary, all with a lot of experience. The only concern I have is Hartzog here being 5'9". They don't want to start him. They want him as a nickelback. Shout out to Nickelback. Terrible music, but yeah, shout out to them. They have Bly Hill here. Let me talk about Bly Hill. He's an FCS transfer. I think I watched a game of his against Western Michigan last year. It's the only time I saw him play because I don't watch FCS football unless they're playing the FBS or the player goes in the transfer portal. So I went and looked him up, started watching his film, and he had a really good game against Duquesne. Like 4 passes deflected against Duquesne. And I'm watching the plays, and I'm watching him play, and I thought, man, this guy's good. He's 6'3". Out of high school, he's like 160 pounds, so he's gained about 20 pounds. And I think he's a project corner, but there's potential there because he's 6'3". They want a 6'3 corner. That's why they signed him. They don't like their 5'9 guy. They want another tall corner. So watch them work Hill in the defense. Watch him be a starter by the end of the year. Watch him contributing by the end of the year. But I think Hartzog's a baller. I think he's a player. He's just a little guy. And you look down here, a punt returner, 3 yards of punt return. Okay. Freshman running back, Quentin Ives. Cool. And like I told you, there's no competition for their kicker who misses all the 40-yarders. So, transfer portal. Stephon Thompson coming over from Syracuse. Good. Jamal Banks, Wake Forest, 100 receptions. Michael Maskua, told you, 6'5", 340, 335. Dante Dowdle, big running back, 6'1", 208. Isaiah Nair, stud, 6'3", 195. And then Bly Hill, like I told you, project corner coming over from the FCS. Played at St. Francis, I believe. St. Francis, PA, the Red Flash. So, that's everybody. Let's go look at the schedule. They opened the season with UTEP. I haven't given you guys my group of 5 breakdowns, but I want to tell you guys something that's going to shock you, and that's UTEP is very good. UTEP is so improved via the transfer portal. They brought in an all-star team. They brought in all the best players from Austin Peay. They brought in some other FCS guys. They've brought in studs. They changed the culture. I really like UTEP. Now, can UTEP score on Nebraska? Because Nebraska's defense is stout. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think Nebraska's blowing these guys out 30-0. I want to know what the spread's going to be from Vegas week 1. Because we're going to beat the fuck out of Vegas. Like, we're going to beat them. Okay? I'm telling you, UTEP is better than Vegas thinks they are. Mark my words. Unless one of you Vegas cappers is an MVP and gets all my information, UTEP's going to be undervalued, disrespected, and it's not the old UTEP. Nope. Colorado, I think they're better than Nebraska. They beat them last year, and Colorado's improved immensely. I like Colorado a lot. Northern Iowa should beat Northern Iowa, right? No problem. Gonna beat Illinois. I think they beat Purdue. I think they beat Rutgers. These teams can't score. So I got teams that can't score. So the reality is the UTEP one is perplexing to me. But even if they win it, I got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins before they get their bye week and they go at Indiana. They got 2 weeks to prepare for Indiana. Is that 6 wins? Now you show me where they're going to win another game. UCLA? Deshaun Foster and the boys? Is that what you got? So, like I just said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're not beating Ohio State. They're not beating USC on the road. They're not beating Wisconsin. They're not beating Iowa on the road. So at best, I have them at 7 wins. And that's if they can beat Indiana at home. And I love Indiana. At best, I got them at 7 wins. If everything goes right, they get 7 wins. 7. And the over-under 7.5. This is an under all day. It's minus 164. It's a lock. I'm going to change it to 2 units. I don't think with a true freshman quarterback, you're going on the road and you're beating some of those teams. I don't think Nebraska's offense is going to get it done in a lot of these games. Their defense is great. Their special teams will cost them at least 2 games. Missed field goals, punt returns worth the damn. Field position is going to be terrible. I don't know how they're passing it down the field. New quarterbacks coach, no continuity, new receivers coming in, new coach coming in, new quarterback coming in. I don't know. They all just met. They all just met. It doesn't feel right to me. I think Nebraska does not win 7 games. I think that line's going to move down to 6.5. Especially if there's an injury, because they have zero depth. No depth at the quarterback position, no depth on the offensive line, no depth at running back. That's 3 positions that you need to score. And I think there's a problem at corner now that you lose your shutdown corner that was covering half the field. I think there's a problem there. So, I don't think they win 7.5 games. The only way they're winning 7.5 games is if you have them beating Colorado, and I don't see it, bro. Colorado returned everything that outscored them last year, and Colorado got exponentially better on defense, especially the defensive line. Who's going to dominate this Nebraska front? It's going to be embarrassing. A lot to a little, bro. So, that being said, Nebraska, under 7.5. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Good luck, y'all.